morning, everyone. I'd like to thank everybody for getting up on this dark November morning and fighting the crowds in the parking lot to be here. My name is Kelly Dostal, and I'm the assistant principal for the class of 2024. It's my pleasure to host this event. It's always one of the highlights of my month. Getting a chance to meet students and families who have really stood out is always such a pleasure for me, and it's an honor for these students who are being recognized. When you consider the size of LT, these are students who have really distinguished themselves and really made a mark in the classrooms that they are representing today. The students today will be honored by their presenting or their nominating teachers, and the teachers will share why their students have been nominated. Please understand that with teaching schedules, though, some of our teachers do teach at South first thing in the morning, so if you see them sneaking out, or some of our students sneaking out because they have snowball in the morning, we want to make sure that they get there. So before we begin, I'd like to welcome up our first presenter from the Science Department, Mr. Brian Keller. Mr. Keller. As Mr. Keller and his student are coming forward, there is a spot on the floor here with an X. If we can ask our students to stand on that. We have LTTV that's filming this morning, and they want to make sure they get everybody in the picture. So thank you. There's that X. You found it.
This feels like a trap.
Stand, no, there's no trap door, I promise. I promise no trap door.
So thank you very much. Thank you for all coming out on this kind of nice day, but kind of dark outside. So thank you for coming out for Student of the Month. Juliana is a fantastic student. In my physics class, shockingly, sometimes students get lost. All right, but also it can be somewhat intimidating to go and raise your hand to say, "I don't get it. Can you repeat that again? Can you go through something again? Can you try another way to explain it?" All right. So Juliana is self-aware enough where she can go ahead and say, "Mr. Keller, huh? I don't get it." And then it's like, okay, yep, all right. And thank God for that, because that gives me a little bit of feedback as a teacher, and I crave that feedback, because otherwise I have the kid in the back who say, and nothing is getting through. So get that little bit of feedback, and I try it another way. So therefore, everyone in the class benefits. So by taking that risk and saying, "Can you explain that again? I don't understand that portion right there." She's engaging with the material and helping herself and helping everyone in the classroom. So that engagement and that thought is why Juliana is here. So thank you, Juliana. Thank you for making me a better teacher. All right. Why not? Yeah.
Well, he was going to give you the certificate, but you don't have to stand there. You know, and Juliana, I'm sure everyone in your physics class, and if I were a student in there, I would also be forever thankful for you saying, "I don't get it." Physics is one of those things that's a challenge for so many. Our next presenter this morning, I'd like to welcome up from our World Language Department, Madame Martinez, who is going to be introducing us to William. Madame Martinez.
Bonjour. Guillaume, c'est pour toi.
Merci beaucoup.
For toi aussi. This is William, but I'm going to call him Guillaume. This is his French name. Means the same thing, not a different name. So he is an amazing French student, like always cheerful when he comes in, bringing this outstanding energy. It spreads to everybody else, so it's just every day is a joy. In French class, I would say with Guillaume. Isabella's like, yes, absolutely, but she's in our class too. He always helps his peers. He's a wonderful expert for us because he's also Quebecois, so he gets to give us, you know, I was trained in French from France, so all the words that I don't maybe know, he gets to help us learn how French is spoken in Quebec as well, which is another wonderful gift. When we see each other outside of class, which was happening a lot actually with cross country, my son is at Highlands in cross country, and he was helping another kid, I think, at Pleasantdale. And we were always just in French automatically. He didn't even think about speaking English to me. And it was just wonderful, because it doesn't always happen, if you can imagine, in public. Some kids don't want to speak French. So I loved that about him. I love that about him as well. He really just does light up the room, and I am so glad he is my student again this year. Félicitations, Guillaume. There he is. Oh, picture, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, we're good.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good. We got the picture. All is well. And unfortunately, my French is not nearly as good as my Spanish, so felicitaciones, and we'll go from there. Our next presenter this morning, I'd like to welcome up from our Family and Consumer Science Department, Ms. Kate Mitchell, who's going to be introducing us to Isabella. Ms. Mitchell.
And you get two. I know, it's amazing. I'll get you these things so I don't lose them. Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Isabella, as you already know, and I'm sure all of you already know she's amazing. So I'm just going to touch on a few highlights because we don't have all day. But I have the joy of working with Isabella in fashion and interior design. It's bright and early, second hour, which, you know, can be a little slow. Juliana's in that class as well, so as you can tell, I have a lot of star power in the room. But Isabella is always smiling. She's polite. She's attentive. She's engaged, and she's engaged every day in whatever we're doing. She talks fashion. She gets to know the students around her. We've had a few transfer students added. She's welcomed them and been very inclusive with them as well. And then besides her, of course, fabulous demeanor, she submits high-quality work and is very creative, which, of course, in fashion class is a huge part of the deal. It's artistic. She rises to the occasion every time, whatever the task is. She's passionate about the topic, even shares, you know, some of her experiences from outside of class in the fashion world as well. And she even took the time to make some of her own alterations to her homecoming dress. So that was kind of fun to talk about. She had some little things, you know, that she showed me and, you know, took care of that on her own, which I thought was pretty cool. So she's a joy, and I did want to share, I know it's hard to see from far away, but some of the work that she's done. So this was like our first thing. So we just practiced shading, but you can kind of tell the original, you know, if you can see from far. And this is kind of her last submission where she created, you know, a model and an entire garment and did some colored rendering. So people in the front enjoy that. But again, just creative. It's invigorating as a teacher to have students that are so passionate. And then also she's just a wonderful person. So congratulations to LT for having a model student, and then thank you to her parents for letting us have her here.
All right, this is the chance that we can all say we knew Isabella when. So if you want to get on her list of designer, you know, future creations, now is the time. Our next presenter I'd like to welcome up this morning is from our physical education department, Mr. Kurt Wienberg, who's going to be talking to us about Alexandra. Alexandra.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here to present Alex for Student of the Month in PE, specifically strength training. I'm sure when you thought strength training, you saw Alex walk in, you thought that's our strength training student of the month for sure. But Alex is fantastic in class. She's really a model student. She's very conscientious about what we're doing. She's very knowledgeable. She's an excellent help to her group. We obviously, you know, often work in groups in our class, and Alex is very on top of what needs to be done and how to do it and things like that, and knows what she's doing. She's able to help other people in class as well and kind of pass on her knowledge. She's a great positive influence, not super chatty or super talkative and things like that, but she really adds to our class and to her group as well. She asks questions when needed. She understands the material really well. We do, we concentrate on a lot of different things, and a little bit of anatomy and a lot of technique and things like that, but she understands it well, but also is not afraid to, when there's a clarification needed on something, she's willing to ask and things like that. She's always engaged in the workout, regardless of what it is on any given day. She's working hard at it, and she's, again, kind of being a positive influence for her group and keeping everybody else engaged as well. Just a fantastic student, a model student that we have in PE, and what we would like our kids to be, what we'd like our PE students to be. She's just engaged, active, and really seems to enjoy the topic as well. So Alex Flores is our Student of the Month.
Congratulations, Alex. I think it would be fantastic to have you as a personal trainer. Are you up for hire? Not quite yet? Okay. Keep working with him, Coach Weinberg. Our next presenter was not able to join us this morning, Mr. Greg Elwood. He's from our furniture and cabinet making class, or applied tech department. But presenting on his behalf is Mr. Dan Bies, who's the division chair, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about Alexander. So, Mr. Bies.
Good morning, everybody. Number one, I think you all owe me a big thank you. For those of you who know Mr. Elwood, I went on Wednesday morning to talk to Mr. Elwood, and I said, Mr. Elwood, I know you can't make it Friday. Just give me a few quick bullet points to share about Alex. And half an hour later, I was still in there, and he was still talking to me about Alex and everything that is so fabulous about Alex. So I tried to condense everything that Mr. Elwood said. He is absolutely just beyond thrilled to nominate Alex today, and I'm just going to read for you a few quick highlights from what he had to say about him. I met Alex this year in my furniture making and cabinet making course. He was a quiet student at first, but I could tell right away how mature he was, and as time started to go on, how comfortable he became. He is a great student and one of the only students who is really leading the class tempo, something that is imperative in my class. He is a hard worker and very respectful. He's doing a great job, and I am a lucky man to have him in my class. These days, in a room full and a world full of distractions, Alex is someone who works hard and does what he needs to do. I am incredibly proud of Alex and am so proud of the beautiful custom blanket hope chest he has made. Thank you, Alex, for working hard in my class. It does not go unnoticed, Mr. E. Congratulations, Alex.
So is the blanket chest for sale on eBay yet, or is that coming in the near future for the rest of us? Okay, or Etsy. You need an Etsy shop. Presenting this morning from our social studies department, I'd like to welcome up Ms. Lauren McCready, who's going to be talking to us about Brianna Gonzalez. Ms. McCready.
Good morning, everyone. So up here with me, I have Bree. I have her in my first period history class, which everyone can tell you first period is already a little bit stale, and it's especially hard teaching an AP course, but Bree was always the person who took pity on me from the beginning of the year and was willing to answer my questions in the first couple of weeks, and she continues to be one of my #1 participators in the course, which I really, really appreciate. Even when she had to miss a chunk of the beginning of October, she was still participating more when she returned than some of the other kids who had been there. She was like already on top of whatever she had missed when she was gone, and it was just so impressive that she was still wholly participating and engaged in the material. I was blown away. You would never thought she had missed a day. She regularly comes in for clarification to deepen her understanding of the material and skills, and when she comes to talk with me, it's not, how do I get this point back, but she genuinely wants to know that she understands the material and that she understands the skill, which is like, again, so noteworthy as a teacher that you can just hear that it's the motivation about why she wants to do better. So she truly emulates what we all strive students to achieve, which is to have a growth mindset. She's also unfailably forthcoming. I accidentally marked a 200% in her grade book on a summative assessment, and she emailed me right away saying, I don't think that was right. And I was like, yes, you're right. I don't think LT's grading policy allows for that. So I quickly changed it. But then she also had to make up other assessments from when she was absent. And even then I'm like, okay, we'll be flexible. We can do it this way. And she was like, no, I don't think that would be fair to my fellow students because that wasn't identical to how they did it. And I was like, oh my goodness, like the honesty and just I just think it speaks so much to her character, and I was just so impressed. She's also incredibly kind and humble and very sweet. I've also heard nothing but wonderful things about her from other teachers. I thought I heard something about Mrs. Reed nominating her for this month, and so I quickly emailed her just to make sure that we weren't nominating the same student. And she emailed me back right away, and she said, no, I don't have it this month, ... but in all caps, she is amazing. And I agree. Thank you, Brady.
For our students here, you hear the words APUSH, and it strikes fear in the hearts of many of them. The fact that you're able to be so incredibly proficient with APUSH first thing in the morning, congratulations. Our next presenter this morning from our music department, I'd like to welcome up Mr. Jan Matthews, who's going to be talking to us about Maddie Walsh. Mr. Matthews.
Good morning, everybody. This is Maddie. Maddie is a well-rounded and talented musician, a strong leader in class. She serves on our orchestra board, and she volunteers at our summer camps. You can tell from her demeanor in class and her attitude that she loves to make music with others, and her commitment to the rehearsal and performing process helps everyone around her to be successful. I can always rely on her great ears and knowledge of all things musical to improve the level of all of our playing. Thank you for all you do.
So, Maddie, what instrument do you play? I play violin. Violin, thank you. We have a violinist in our midst. Our next presenter I'd like to welcome up from our math department, Mr. Peter White, who's going to be talking to us about Marilee Rubio. Mr. White.
Dangerous when you give me a mic, so I'll try to keep it good today. But it's my pleasure and honor to nominate Marilee Rubio this morning for Student of the Month in Mathematics. She has been my absolute hardest working student this school year. She comes each day ready to learn, and she also has a smile on her face. And I appreciate all the different questions, as somebody else mentioned earlier. There's a lot of, everybody gets math all the time, right? Nobody ever has questions. It's easy. You just roll in, you pick it up fast, right? But there's tons of kids that have questions in there. And so I appreciate and I encourage kids to ask. And so I do appreciate that she's willing and to raise her hand and say, I didn't quite catch that. Can you go back over that? I appreciate that because I know so many more kids should be willing to do that. And she truly wants to learn. It's not all about the grade. I mean, grades are great, right? But it's about the learning and the growth. I get to teach her in Algebra 2, and if you remember 2 years ago, you were in Algebra 1. Her classmates were in Algebra 1, and unfortunately we're at home for a vast majority of the year. The amount of learning that they took in, I think if we are all honest, was not the same as if they were in person. So Algebra 2 can be a little bit of, a struggle. They're in person, they're learning. I completely understand that. And so I appreciate her diligence and her work. She's not giving up on, the hard topics. They're still trying to catch up on some of those Algebra 1 concepts they either didn't get to or being at home they didn't quite grasp. So she's met that challenge, and she hasn't given up on some of those harder things that we're going in Algebra 2. Whereas, there's some other kids that this is too hard. Let me just get out my phone and, let me get my mind on something that's, makes me feel a little bit better about myself. So I appreciate her diligence. I have 4 kids at home, and how she comes in and works in class is exactly what I hope my 4 kids are doing when they're in class. They get a challenging topic to them, and they don't give up. And I want them to keep going and pushing. And so the characteristics that she has in class are exactly what I hope, my 4 kids have. And I have talked about her to my kids sometimes, don't give up. I'm I have students that don't give up, and they keep pushing. They eventually get it. Her most recent, I won't say grades, but her most recent quiz and test were her highest scores of the semester. So whatever they were initially, they have grown, and it's all due to her and her work ethic and not giving up. So thank you, Marilee, for continuing to strive for success. Thank you for being a great example to the others in the classroom, and I hope you always keep a growth mindset and never give up. I look forward to seeing you continue to grow and learn this semester. So congratulations, Marilee.
That's pretty inspiring when you have students that you want your own children to be like. Our next presenter this morning, I'd like to welcome up from our Business Education Department, Mr. Michael Archibald, who's going to be talking to us about Alex Marinoff. Mr. Archibald.
Good morning, everyone. I will try to be as short and sweet as possible, as I am not really good at doing that. So I will just read what I have written about this awesome young man. As a new teacher, you are always looking for students who will help make the class run smoothly. Alex does that and more. He is not the loudest, but I've watched him and he leads quietly. Other students look to him for answers, and it shows that they trust him. I'm glad he is understanding the concepts in accounting, but I like even more that he's showing some good signs of leadership. So, Alex, I want to publicly thank you in front of everybody. I appreciate you, brother.
Our next presenter this morning is also from our math department. I'd like to welcome up Mr. Jeremy Vertis, who's going to be talking about Grant Thiede. Mr. Vertis.
I want to start by thanking the parents. Looking through the group today, I think Ms. McCready said, okay, nominated kid, another teacher's like, oh, that kid's awesome. And going through Student of the Month night, I'm like, oh yeah, that kid's great, that kid's great, that kid's great. But we have so many great students. And it's difficult to just pick one, but it's nice to see that they're all acknowledged. So thank you, parents. Whatever you're doing at home, it is fantastic. The support that you're giving your students is fantastic, and their encouragement that you have for them to work hard and continue to persevere is great. That's Grant, that idea of continuing to persevere. Mr. White mentioned how the COVID years were very difficult for education. It was difficult for teachers and difficult for students, and Grant persevered through that. And as the years continued, he continued to persevere and he continued to grow. I only met Grant last year at a field trip, and he seemed like a very nice kid, fantastic hair, very stoic, just kind of quiet. But then he's in my room, and I'm like, okay, I got the kid with the hair, awesome. And then I realized that Grant is a kid that works really hard, but could easily be overlooked. He's there in the back, he's not very talkative, but he's always very quick-witted. Whenever I need like a quick comeback or a quick joke, Grant is there for me. It's fantastic. And as we grew in the classroom and as we worked as a class, I realized the other strengths that Grant had. He was helpful to his classmates. Grant caught on to concepts very quickly, but also was willing to help those around him. He was also able to finish long-term projects right away and then kind of tell me like, okay, this part was a little bit difficult, this one this was a little bit easier, to kind of give me that feedback too. So to just know this amazing growth Grant has had from freshman year to now makes me look forward to see where he's going to go into the future. So thank you, Grant.
Grant, I'm going to embarrass you for 30 seconds. Aren't you excited? As an assistant principal, I am not allowed to nominate Students of the Month, but if I were, Grant would absolutely be that person for me this year. Grant wears his heart on his sleeve. He has the kindness of unbelievable proportion, and I am so proud of the work that he's doing. Thank you. Thank you. Our next presenter from our English department, Mr. Lawrence Keller, is going to be introducing us to Michael Guzman. Mr. Keller.
Did you see the picture of yourself?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. All right. His goal is to not laugh as I'm talking. He's failed already. Many students work hard. Many are respectful, and some are smart. And there's a litany of qualities that embody excellence. Michael Guzman has all those, and he has one more. Michael brings joy wherever he goes. Put another way, he makes any place he is better simply by his presence. Early this semester, Michael asserted his quirky sense of humor in my playwriting class. As the class was getting started, he eagerly called out my name, "Mr. Keller, Mr. Keller!" And I responded in kind, "What is it, Michael?" Michael then proceeded to mimic his cat. Can you demonstrate? When he's in maybe mom knows this. Anyway, and he spoke gibberish. As you might expect, I found this a little bit disarming, but I soon learned to either relent and enjoy it or revert to being the uptight, rigid teacher that is a stereotype to so many of us. As a student in my playwriting class, he has quickly learned to bring his own experience to his craft. His play Boom, many of which his lines I cannot quote in this public forum, deftly shows the dynamics of navigating the dating world. And then there's his work as an actor in The Shop Around the Corner. Michael claims that he never acted before. Well, if you saw his work in the play, you'd never know it. He came consistently to rehearsals early, he actively sought out ways to better his performance, and he quickly established himself as a hardworking actor, eager to learn from others and embrace ensemble work. Michael has one other challenge many of us never experienced in high school. He transferred to LT as a junior. I've only known him since August, and in that short time, he's become one of those students I look forward to working with every day. While I think LT would have benefited from having him as a student for all 4 years of his high school experience, we can consider ourselves lucky that he's here for the last 2. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, Michael, the cat presentation for the video. That's all. That's all. Our final presenter this morning from our art department, I'd like to welcome up our division chair, Mr. Jerry James, who's going to be talking to us about Eleni Horwath. Unfortunately, Ms. Lagas was not able to join us this morning, so if Eleni, if you can come up, thank you. And Mr. James has some lovely things to say about you.
All right, well, thank you all for being here. I do have some wonderful things to say. I do not have any animal noises prepared, so I apologize, cat or otherwise. Eleni and I are actually just getting to know each other a little bit this morning. It's my first year here as division chair at LT, and I know this presentation is not about me, but it's my first year here. I haven't been here very long, but by reading some of the comments that Ms. Lagas made about Eleni, it's very clear that I think she's done more for the art department since she's been here than I have in my own time. An absolutely wonderful student. Ms. Lagas said that not only had you been part of her class last year, but that you were also an extremely active part of the art club, traveling back to South to be part of that group and to be a leader in that group. And I know we've heard a lot of things here this morning about perseverance and outstanding work ethic, and all of those things were things that Ms. Lagas said about you as well. But one of the things that she really highlighted is how you made such an amazing, this was planned, don't worry, such an amazing impact silently on the class, and that you were such an outstanding leader within the class, and she really passionately wants you to know that you are appreciated, and that she truly really wanted to recognize you for your efforts in class, and she sees that, and she appreciates it, and everything that you've done for us. I think we talk a lot about, grades and things like that, and I was just quickly scanning through some of your grades. Trust me, nothing we need to have any conversations about. Just some simple art grades from freshman year with drawing and printmaking an A. I was like, wow, a great start. And then some metal works, an A+. Okay, you don't see a lot of those flying out the door early on, so very good.
And then beginning ceramics with an A+, and intermediate ceramics with an A+. Thinking, we have some employment applications online. Maybe we just need to get you in the division. So thank you for everything. We talk a lot about in our strategic plan the profile of students that we want to have here at LT, and Uini is an absolutely wonderful version of the profile of what we want from every student, what we hope for every student, and we wish you all the luck going forward, and we congratulate you for everything.
Mr. James, do we have to talk to you about recruiting during breakfast? I know. All right, it is. That's going to conclude our Student of the Month ceremony today, but before we leave, I'd like to thank the following people. We have Sodexo, who provided our wonderful breakfast. I'd like to thank LTTV and Candy Faye in the back for filming our ceremony today. If you pay attention to LTTV, in a few weeks, the ceremony will be available for you to watch at home. My thanks goes out to my assistant, Karen Jakowiak. Karen, she really does everything, and I can't thank her enough for putting this together. To our students here today, congratulations. You've set yourself apart. I heard great words today like joy and perseverance and attitude and engagement. And those are the things that really make it a joy in our profession to work with students. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank our parents that are here today. You have given us such wonderful students to work with. We can't thank you enough. Have a lovely day.